We are Monday morning, first session, Gordo and Chris talking about batteries and power poles and all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of the opening session for the week. So
good morning, everybody.
What we're doing. Looks like lots of red black wire.
Yes, lots of red and black wires. And connectors.
But no pickle.
And no pickle. We'll have to work on the pickle for next year.
Actually, how many have a BaoFeng? I've got one. Yeah, they're great radios, but what was occurring was on some of the major mail order companies, they were selling them in groups of 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, channeled up for business band use. When they came into the country, they had pre-programmed about 8 of the 10 channels for business band. 5 of them were on pretty close to business band channels like 151, 62, 425. I mean, just a little bit off. And 6 of them were on ham channels. So if you have a local cafe or a local car wash and they're coming over 446.0225, you go, what is this I'm hearing? That is what the FCC was clamping down on, and that was amateur radio handhelds coming into the country that were half business band, not even on the correct business band itinerant channels, and the other half on our ham channels, which they were not designed originally. Then I found something new, and that was a company called Bioenno. And I have no stock in the company, but they are so nice. They're in Southern California, and they have lithium iron phosphate. And look at this. Randy brought one of his big ones, and he's gonna give this away.
No,
he's not gonna give it away.
Knock it off.
But the lithium iron phosphate is much lighter than what would be in a normally ampere capacity size storage battery. So it's relatively lightweight. The capacity, this one is 30 amp hours, and that's a lot of capacity for a little battery like this one. Last night we wanted to make sure that we had enough power for the special event station, so we've got a Bioenno 100 amp hour battery, and if you'd like to see that, come on over to the ham station. But most important, pick it up and you go, wow, this thing is really light. How can it do it? Well, they've got small little cells on the inside. The 100 amp hour will not start your car. If you try and crank your vehicle, even a big, huge power lawnmower with a 12-volt Bioenno, if it exceeds more than about 40 amps, bingo, not to worry. It has a sensing circuit on the inside called the voltage protection and current protection circuit, and the battery will go offline. You'll see no voltage coming off of any of the things. You think, oh boy, I've had it now. Nope, you don't. You just need to plug it into one of their small little power supplies that charges the battery up, and the battery will sense that, oh, I'm okay after all, and it will then begin to put all of the little cells back online. So this Bioenno is quite an interesting company because they sell mainly through the regular ham radio distributors, Ham Radio Outlet, DX Engineering, and many of the other ham mom and pop organizations that are so important for ham radio conventions. In fact, whenever I go to a ham convention, I always love going by the small husband and wife teams because they usually have not only some exceptional values, but some unique products. So this morning, I thought in just a few moments...
Can I say a word about them too?
Oh,
You're all switched. You point that at me. I'm going to talk first.
Oh, good.
Okay?
Please do. Yes. Okay, you're on.
So I got this at PacificCon, and I worked with Kevin and Gordo there. And I got the AC charger and also the solar charger. And a few days before I left for Quartzfest, we had a sky like this in Oregon. So I got out my solar panels. I was playing around with their solar controller for the battery. And it's a pretty basic, but I was stepping through things and had all these different numbers, and the manual wasn't a lot of, detail, so I called them up. You know, it's press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And I thought, oh boy, press 2 for service. Kevin answers the phone. And we talked for like a half hour. We were talking about the controller and the batteries and the automatic shut off and the protection and what all the numbers mean in the solar controller. And basically what they do is if they lock down all the configurations in the solar controller to charge the lithium iron phosphate battery, and there is a way to override it. I said, I don't want to know that. It's your controller, your battery. I hook it up to my solar panel, and it's been charging great. So real good service from, you know, Kevin and his gang there.
What does the battery cost?
Good.
$280.
Yeah.
Question?
Sure.
So is it true that a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate is equivalent to a 200 amp hour AGM?
So yes, the batteries are expensive. In fact, that it's about a 40-pound, 100 amp hour Bioenno battery, like $7 I mean, expensive. But it's supposed to take well over 3,000 recharges. Comes with its own little tiny recharger, or as you'll see, for those of you that will walk with us over to the special event station, they've got a high output recharger. And this is one I like, the high output, because it allows me to recharge batteries when we're doing the special event station, just in case if anybody pulls the voltage down too low, which has not occurred yet. The Bioenno, they had a couple of areas that I encouraged them to take a look at, and that was all of the connection points to their different plugs and jacks that come out of the unit, as well as a connection point to the battery itself that has terminals that are exposed. I think they over-crimped them and broke some of the wires, and after a while with wiggling the wire would break loose. So they immediately went to a whole new way of soldering them and putting them together. So I don't think we're going to see. That was a problem 6 months ago, and it's 100% cured. The Bioenno battery is, again, lithium iron phosphate, and its resting voltage is about 12.8 as opposed to a regular automobile battery that with just a little bit of current draw from a ham radio will drop down to maybe 12.4, 12.3. So you have a little hotter battery, and of course that makes up for if you're trying to use it in a rent-a-car. And what I do in the rent-a-car, and I've done it with the other gel batteries, is I put this down in the front seat. The Bioennos don't leak and they don't give off harmful gases. And I run the radio directly off the battery. I'm going to be running the radio for a long time. Sometimes, as long as the car is running, I have a little DC plug that I plug into the car's accessory socket and give the battery a little reboost, because most vehicles, their alternators run about 14.2. And the Bioenno is not fussy at all about how much or where it's getting its higher voltage to bring the battery up. So in a rent-a-car, that's what I do to provide the voltage for the transceiver, and that way I don't have to go into the rent-a-car's electrical circuit and try and find the battery red and black posts.
Okay, the session's ended, and Gordo's going to do a demonstration of the power poles, showing off the batteries here.
And these are amazing. This runs, I do microwave here, and I take this to microwave events, and it's 12 ampere hours. That's for charging. That's for the output. And I'm not drawing a ton of cable here. This we use for snipping off the wire. The good ham knows how to do this. How'd I do, huh? Oh. I did okay. Yeah, you did. This was at the CES show a few weeks ago. A guy, he couldn't sell enough of these. He had a line up there. Oh, I love that. Gives you a little scale that shows you how far in you're going to remove that wire. And I'm going to go ahead and go bingo. And I'll do it again for
That
this.
doesn't let you push too hard on it to cut it either, probably. It's got to cut
Yeah,
off on
and
it.
sometimes you have to hold the wire that it doesn't get sucked in when you push it.
Harbor Freight has one and it's cheap.
All right, so
work
not
for a
bad.
while.
For Andersons, I usually, where's our fellow who was talking about soldering? Do we solder this or not for Andersons? Hi, kiddo. Well, we aren't going to solder out here, that's for sure.